400 days in hardcore modded Minecraft. In our previous 100 days, someone had snuck onto our server and showed up at our village with a fire dragon, decimating the village. After 10 long days of fortifying every building, it was fully rebuilt, and we raised our very own ice dragon. In today's video, we set 3 new goals. First, raising our ice dragon to stage 5. Second, crafting full dragonsteel armor. And third, finding and defeating the mysterious person who snuck onto our server. Can we survive another 100 days? Stay tuned to find out. Day 301. We started out by repairing all the building's windows throughout our village. The zombies in this mod pack have a tendency of griefing us. After repairing everything, we woke up for day 302 and went to go feed the animals in the barn. But when we entered the barn, all the animals were gone. After some investigation, it seemed like someone snuck into the barn overnight and killed all of our animals. This had to be the work of that mysterious person. So for the next 3 days, we spent getting new animals to bring back to the barn. Painful also brought some frogs to the barn, kind of an odd choice. And for the next 2 days, we killed a lot of animals so we can make lots of dragon meal to feed our dragons. And on day 309, we went to go feed our dragons in the forgery, but Painful's dragon was already full size. So we went over to my ice dragon, Painful gave me all of his dragon meal, and I grew my dragon all the way to stage 5. I then did a test flight with my new dragon. What do you guys think I should name my dragon? Make sure to leave your suggestions down in the comments section. With an ice dragon, it's easy to freeze water, so I can actually create an ice path while on my dragon. Who the heck needs a boat? We knew we were going to need a ton of materials from the Twilight Forest in order to create our full dragonsteel armor. So for the next 3 days, we hunted down a ton of dragons, mainly targeting stages 1, 2, and 3 dragons, since we knew we could take those out the easiest. With our dragonsteel weapons, we dealt a ton of damage to these dragons. The dragon picked me up in his mouth, but I immediately broke free. Unfortunately, when a dragon picks you up in this mod pack, it causes a bit of a visual glitch with your armor. So even though it looks like I have no armor on, it's actually still equipped. And after a few more hits with our dragonsteel weapons, the stage 3 dragon was defeated, and we continued on for the next 3 days, hunting down and gathering the dragon blood of all these stage 3 dragons. After killing another stage 3 dragon, we decided to head back home and restock on potion supplies, only to find our Twilight Forest base completely demolished. This person must really enjoy griefing us. It was pretty clear looking at the damages that this person had used a dragon to destroy our base. We really have to hunt this person down. The question was, did they live in the Twilight Forest, or did they live in the overworld? If he lived in the Twilight Forest, it'd be nearly impossible to hunt him down. So we decided to rebuild our base out of a better material and to make it a lot bigger this time. We made sure to have a lot more space in this one and built a lot more sturdy. While going to hunt more dragons, we found a dragon den that appeared like someone had broken into it and found another dragon corpse. We had found one in the previous 100 days as well. We investigated again, but there was still no clues. We continued our trek and looking for dragons, but ended up running into a hydra. There also appeared to be some sort of floating tower above the hydra. Was this hydra protecting something? We drank our potions and went in to fight the hydra. The hydra seemed to do some decent damage, but it being a stationary target made it wide open to attacks. After dealing a ton of damage, we took out 2 of its heads, leaving only 1 head left to fight. Painful splashed down some instant health potions, and soon after, we finished off the hydra. Ended up dropping a bunch of food and a really cool trophy. We wanted to get up to the tower, so we mined a bunch of dirt and pillared straight up. We bridged across and entered the tower. We climbed up the ladders and noticed there was a bridge leading to another room. We entered the room and saw a book and quill in an item frame. I took the book out of the item frame and opened it. The book read, "The giants seem to be plotting an assassination attempt on my dragon Fafnir. I will be infiltrating their fortress to try and acquire more intel. If I do not return, warn the others." Signed by the Devastator. What was this book talking about? This book must have been written by that mystery person, and we finally had a name, the Devastator. There was clearly more to the story than we thought. It was about time that we headed back to base and restocked on potions. While brewing, I thought I heard something in the background. At first we thought it was a creeper, until we literally saw TNT flying into the air. We quickly ran outside of our base to investigate, and saw the village next door was being decimated. The Devastator just really enjoys griefing us for some reason. The village was completely destroyed. We decided that was the last straw. We needed to get dragonsteel armor as fast as possible. So we went back into the Twilight Forest and hunted dragons for another 5 days. We wanted to make an ice dragonsteel forge. With fire dragonsteel weapons, hunting down ice dragons was a simple task. We collected as much ice dragon blood as we could and hunted down a few more ice dragons for good measure. Once we ran out of potions, we started to return back to base, but ended up running into a strange fortress on the way back. We decided we needed to investigate it, and while climbing up the stairs, we heard what sounded like a stage 5 dragon outside the base. Was it protecting this fortress? It wasn't long until we were battling the dragon. It was huge. It was targeting me, so I used the wall for cover. I used my bow, and Painful Painful used his sword. Right when it was about to break through the wall, Painful and I had defeated the dragon. We collected the dragon blood, scales, and bones, and traveled up the staircase leading into the tower. This had to have been the base of operations of the Devastator. There were chests, brewing stands, and enchantment tables. We also noticed a bookshelf with a single book in the center. We opened the book, and the book read, "The giants will pay for the relentless killing of our dragon family. My name will be remembered as a horror story in the land of the giants. My dragon Fafnir and I will lead our troops in the battle and receive aid from the zombie hordes to assist us in our conquest. Let this be an historic day for our kind. Signed by, the Devastator." Well, that answered a lot of questions. That would explain all of the dragon corpses we found. The Devastator wasn't the one who killed them. The giants were killing the dragons. We decided we'll come back later and make our ice dragon forge at the base first. This required dragon bone blocks and ice dragon forged bricks. Once the ice dragon forge was made, we put in crucible ingots and ice dragon blood, and our ice dragon automatically started powering the forge. The combination of the ingots, ice dragon blood, and ice dragon breath gave us more than enough ice dragon steel to craft our full set of ice dragon steel armor. Dragon steel armor is one of the best sets of armor you can use in this mod pack. With ice dragon steel armor, we get permanent resistance too, as well as 20 extra hearts. We also enchanted each piece with protection 4. For the next 7 days, we searched for and found an Aurora Palace. This was the home of the Snow Queen and potentially held some of the most powerful weapons in this mod pack. And in our very second chest, we found one, a glass sword. The glass sword was extremely powerful. And lucky for us, we ended up finding another glass sword and an ender bow. This bow had a special ability of teleporting you and whatever you shot around. When we reached the top of the palace, the Snow Queen was waiting for us. She was the boss of the palace and shot out ice crystals which dealt damage. She'd also tried dealing damage by falling onto us, and we couldn't damage her from below, so we had to wait for her to come down. Our new glass swords are coming in handy, and before we even knew it, the Snow Queen was defeated. It didn't drop too much, but it did drop this cool looking trophy. After that adventure, we headed back to base to deposit our loot and enchanted our glass sword with sharpness 5. We also crafted ourselves an ice dragon steel bow and collected some of the totem heads we had and made some totems of undying and totems of recalling. We wanted to go explore to find a woodlands mansion so we could get more totems of undying, but ended up finding something completely different. It was an enormous tower. We had to get closer to see what this thing looked like. We went up the staircase and immediately saw a skull at the entrance. This had the Devastator written all over it. We entered the center of the tower and immediately noticed an enchantment table, auto smelters, chests, and shulker boxes. This had to be one of the main bases of operation for the Devastator. There was some pretty good stuff in the chests too, but it appeared like this base had been abandoned. The tower scaled almost to height limit, but we decided to climb the ladder anyway. Once we had reached the top, all that was there was another book. I took the book out of the item frame, opened the book, and it read, "My dragon Fafnir and I went out hunting today in the overworld. He helped me catch and kill my first deer. He says I'm destined to end the conflict between the dragons and the giants. I hope one day I can bring an end to this conflict. Signed by, the Devastator." So maybe the Devastator wasn't evil at all. He may have thought we were an ally to the giants. We needed to get in contact with him somehow. So we went back to the Twilight Forest to return to his mansion. We decided to leave a sign that read, "Hello, Mr. Devastator. We would like to discuss a peace treaty. Please consider meeting us at these coordinates for a peace agreement. -900, 1200. We knew these cords were in a neutral location, so we were hoping he'd show up. There ended up being a witch hut here, so we took out the spawner. Devastator had shown up and said something in the chat. Change of plans. Meet here instead, giving us a new set of coordinates. We took a look outside, but he was nowhere to be seen. We spent 3 days of traveling and had finally arrived at the coordinates. As we approached our destination, a glass dome started to render in, and the Devastator's dragon had came into view. Once we had gotten closer, we got our first look at the Devastator. We were finally face to face with him. We hadn't seen him since he had blown up our city in the last 100 days. We also noticed that the glass barrier was unbreakable. Before we could say anything, the Devastator had already spoken. He wanted us to prove our neutrality. He continued to say that until we defeated the Ur-Ghast, we couldn't speak to him any longer. We knew exactly what he was talking about, so we wasted no time and headed straight to the Ur-Ghast dungeon. It took us about 4 days to get here, and we immediately opened the door to the dungeon. After doing some parkour and traveling up to the top of the dungeon, we had spotted the Ur-Ghast. I mean, how could we possibly miss it? This thing was 5 times bigger than a normal ghast. We started by trying to bow it down, but realized our bows did not do too much damage. We realized in the side towers, there was these piston-like things, and when triggering these pistons, it sucked in the ghast, allowing us to hit the ghast with our swords. With my glass and dragon steel swords, we were able to knock it down to half HP already. We knew this was going to be the key to defeat this ghast. We went to the other tower, sucked in the ghast again, and continued to hit it with our swords. We had done so much damage, the Ur-Ghast was defeated. We then went to loot the chest and got ourselves a Ur-Ghast trophy. When equipped equipped, this thing looked pretty awesome. We then spent 3 days to travel back to the Devastator and prove to him that we had defeated the Ur-Ghast. He seemed impressed and said we had proven ourselves, but in order to gain our trust fully, he wanted us to assist him in infiltrating the Giant's fortress. He wanted to give us 3 days to prepare for the battle and to meet back up with him in the same location. Painful and I agreed, and we headed back to our base. We spent the next 3 days brewing potions and using the rest of our gold to craft as many golden apples as possible. We knew this was going to be risky, so we needed to make sure we were fully prepared. We also decided on taking our dragons. If the Devastator tries to betray us, we could easily escape with our dragons. So we landed our dragons in the trees, dropped down, and the Devastator said, "Follow me." Immediately after he said that, the glass barrier disappeared. What kind of magic trick was that? After 6 long days traveling on our dragons, we had finally made it to the Giant's fortress. Hopefully he didn't bring us out this far just to kill us. We decided to leave our dragons at the entrance, as the path ahead looked dangerous. We began making our way through a bunch of thorns, and the Devastator cleared a pathway to the fortress. After we had made it out of the thorns, a massive fortress made of white stone brick was on the other side. This was definitely the Giant's base of operations. This place was enormous. The Devastator led us into one of the buildings, and we followed him up the staircase. There was no turning back now. Once we had reached the top of the staircase, we looked over and saw a massive giant in full iron armor. We didn't want to take any chances, so we drank our potions before going in and started to attack the giants. After getting hit, I realized I'd taken 10 hearts of damage. If it wasn't for this dragonsteel armor, I'd be dead right now. There were even more giants in the bridge. Luckily, the doorway wasn't big enough for them to enter, so we used the low ground to our advantage. They still did a ton of damage, so we had to be extremely careful. Painful got really low on health, but we made sure to use our golden apples to regenerate. After clearing out the bridge, the Devastator led us up another staircase, which took us up even higher into the building. We drank our potions and went out to fight the giants. There were dozens of them. Painful had pretty much all the giants targeting him, so I took out a couple giants in the sides that were by themselves. And oh my gosh, there were so many giants chasing Painful. I had to go help him. He was taking a ton of damage. So while he was running over to me, I tried killing as many giants as I could. The Devastator also had his hands full with a bunch of giants, but I figured why not help him too. Painful was splashing down a ton of instant health right next to me, so I tried getting the giants off of him, and it worked. The giants got off of him, but then started targeting me. I started taking a ton of damage and had to pop a god apple, but that wasn't enough either, so I splashed down a bunch of instant health. There were only a few more giants left, so we took out the remaining few and had succeeded in our mission. We regrouped at the center of the fortress. After helping out the Devastator, he had finally agreed to leave us in peace. All of a sudden, he jumped off the side of the building, and after peering over the ledge, he was already gone. We even ender pearled down to look for him, and we looked all over the place, but still couldn't find him. So we headed back to base, and on day 400, we had finally returned, completing another 100 days in this mod pack. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and comment down below what you'd like to see next. Take care, and have a good one.